Saw this article earlier where they're making Moneyball or sports analytics into a college major at Syracuse. And Professor Michael Veley, the Syracuse director of the sports management department, kind enough to join us to talk about this. Professor, thanks for joining us. Explain the new major at Syracuse this fall.
Well, good morning, Dan, and thanks for having me. Well, we tried to be visionary and forward-thinking, and about 3 years ago, our department set out on a mission to figure out where did we see the sports industry headed in the next decade or the next quarter century. And there were two common themes that came about. One was technology, and the other one was analytics. So we decided to become the first program in the U.S. to design a degree, a 4-year degree, based around sport analytics.
What will the curriculum be like, the type of classes?
Well, we've tried to actually look at where do we see sports setting both internationally and domestically. So we've incorporated a foreign language component. But the students are going to take a lot of economics, a lot of math, computer programming. To kind of make an analogy, in sports, you hear baseball players, they want to recruit a 5-tool baseball player. We want to develop a 5-tool student. So they're going to have emphasis in math, economics and business, computer programming, foreign language, and research applications.
Is there anything with broadcasting? Because I find most people who get into this business, as you know firsthand, Mike, that they still harbor hopes of being on the air. But I love this, that it allows you to have a fallback where you get a managing degree, a marketing degree, that's going to help you a whole lot more than wanting to be a broadcaster.
Well, and that's exactly the way we've developed the degree, Dan. Any student who walks out of a college with those 5 aptitudes, the ability to understand computer programming, master a second language, understand economics, computer programming, be high in math and economics aptitude, they're going to get a job, whether it's in sports and analytics or working in big data and analytics or in the business world. And I really think while all of the emphasis is on Moneyball and player development and analyzing players, I think the business side of sports will grow from the analytics side as much as anything.
What's the job market for sports analytics?
Right now, people with analytics backgrounds have a 27% higher job growth than any other area, any other sector of sports. So you think about the business side, deals used to be done on the golf course. People would sign a 7-figure sponsorship deal over a round of golf. It's no longer the case. Everything's got to be data-driven if a team's going to increase its profit margin. So analytics will look at food and beverage consumption patterns of fans. It will look at ticket buying habits of fans. It will look at sponsorship activation, profitability, and return on investment for companies that are associating their products with sports teams. So I think the business end of this is going to be every bit as powerful as actually evaluating players.
And Syracuse has one of the great broadcasting schools, Newhouse, where you have kids who go there, they want to be broadcasters. But even with that reputation there, I try to tell kids all the time, don't go into the business for money or fame. If you go in because you love sports and you don't mind working in a smaller market, then maybe the job is for you. But what do you tell these students who come to Syracuse about the possibility of doing this professionally as a broadcaster?
I think to be a successful student in this industry will eat you up and spit you out, as you know. I mean, it's an intense, uber-competitive profession. You have to work during everybody else's leisure time, so you're working nights, weekends, and holidays, and that's not for everybody. So first of all, if you're going to get into sports, you have to understand it. I tell students to follow your passion. If your passion happens to be, take a guy like Matthew Berry, who graduated from Syracuse and Newhouse. He has a broadcasting degree, but he's made a career out of fantasy sports. So if you pick a niche area and you can focus on your passion, whether it's entertainment, whether it's computer programming, and in the case of this degree, kids who love numbers, who love to sit in front of a computer and crunch data, this is going to create a career for them. And this isn't for everybody. This is going to be a very high aptitude type of student, an Ivy League caliber student who's got great computer programming skills, but basically wants to sit in front of a computer, run regression analysis all day, and come up with data that's then going to be turned over to executives and team owners and vice presidents and so forth about how they can run a more efficient organization.
Michael, do you ever see a point where we in college teach things that help you in everyday life, whether it's real estate, finances, stock market? I've said this with these kids who go to college to play basketball, and they know they're only going to be there for a one and done. They're majoring in being a professional athlete. Do we ever have a curriculum that is sort of geared towards the athlete who says, I'm an athlete, and we can help you when you get into that world a little bit better than, taking regular curriculum?
It's interesting that you bring that up. We actually teach a course that most of our student athletes at Syracuse take. It's a course in personal and professional development, and it gets into everything about how to manage your own personal finances, how to do basic everyday kinds of things that we take for granted, but sometimes student athletes who are coming from disadvantaged backgrounds or don't have a good family situation, they've never been taught these basic skills about even setting up a bank account, how to balance a checkbook, how to do your finances online, those kinds of things. So we have a course that our student athletes enroll in that basically is giving them the foundation to function as a member of society. I think we need to be teaching more classes like that.
Yeah, I do too, but it's not just you come from a tough background. My kids could use this when it comes to real estate or finance or stocks. Even, we all can. So I think that there are things that you could put into play in the curriculum. I just think the curriculum seems old and tired in a lot of these universities.
Well, that's why we've tried to be visionary and become the first program in the U.S. to actually offer a degree in analytics, because we think it's a sector that's going to drive the sport industry, both from evaluating talent to evaluating consumer behavior. I mean, a perfect example was Game 7 of the NBA championship, when someone went on StubHub and paid $99,000 for 2 courtside seats. The days of people calling up the box office of a stadium are done. People are always going to go to the secondary market, and depending what your price point is, you'll be able to find tickets for whatever price you're willing to pay. And that's all based on analytics. So whether it's improving the efficiency of food and beverage, whether it's looking at media returns and sponsorship activation and so on, we think we're really on the cutting edge of some interesting aspects of how we can prepare our students for the next quarter century to work in this industry.
Michael, thanks for joining us, and good luck with the program.
Dan, we got to get you back to Syracuse more often. I know you're back for Coach Boeheim's gala here in April, and keep up the great work.
Thank you, Mike. That's Professor Michael Veley, the Syracuse Director of Sports Management Department.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.